I was able to contact the older agent again and say, hey, I'm interested in coming back. I've done this and this, I booked these 3 things this in the past year.
Mm-hmm.
And since I hadn't burned a bridge with them, they were, more than welcoming for me to come back.
Hi, I'm Alex DeLerma, and this is the Cinema Gym. If these videos are helping you and you want to see some more, please like, subscribe, comment. Let's keep this thing going. How do you know if you found a good agent?
Let's say you're a new actor and you sign with ICM. That's probably not the right agent for you.
Unless you're a kid.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So you don't want to go into an agency that's too big because you'll just get lost in the mix. What are some signs that you've read when you've gone into an agent or manager meeting and you feel like there's a red flag up?
Well, I personally don't like when somebody kind of puts me in my place and talks down to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so
that's very common with a lot of agents.
I feel I've had experiences where some agents have done that, and in your mind maybe that makes sense, but in reality you're the one that's going out. They're submitting you on something. Mm-hmm. And so it made it so I didn't want to work with that person. Like even if they got me a thing, I don't want to work with this person.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm not going to say the name of this agent or agency, but I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And when you told me this story, I was flabbergasted how this agent was very condescending, was using not foul language, but the way he was talking. I remember you calling me and saying, I'm dropping this guy. Yeah. And he was a good agent. And I remember going, hey, Dustin, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
And you were like, no, this guy is, well, what did he say? And then you told me what he said. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
It was very disrespectful and completely out of line.
So, and it ended up, I found a smaller boutique agency that actually, I liked working with them. Mm-hmm. And they got me good auditions,
Yeah.
But part of the audition thing too is like, your agent needs to have relationships as well.
Right.
So,
right.
So there's another thing too. So just because you get an agent doesn't mean you have to stop, essentially producing your own stuff or making relationships. Before you get that agent, you also need to make sure that, they have the capacity to do that as well.
So if our premise is, when do you know, you've got a good agent or a bad agent? If you're in a meeting with an agent and one of your questions should be, what casting directors do you have a relationship with?
Right.
If they sidetrack that, or you feel that they're BSing you, or they only can mention one name that they can pick up the phone, I'm not saying you shouldn't go with that person, especially if you don't have any credits, but that's not a good sign. And
or if they get angry with you for asking that question.
Yes, which is common. And I know that if there's any agent watching this video that they might get defensive and think that I'm trying to vilify agents. I'm not, because I understand why there can be a lot of frustration from agents toward actors, because let's face it, lots of actors are very flaky. Agents are investing their time and their money trying to get something going. They're running a business.
Right.
For them, it's about business. 99% of agents are there not for the art, but for the business.
Right.
And actors, the vast majority of actors are really more, I don't know, yes, I think it's still fair to say that. Most actors are there really for the art of it. They would do it for free in a second. No agent is going to work for free, but actors do all the time. A red flag can be when you sit down with an agent and they look at your pictures. It's fine for an agent to say, these aren't good pictures. You need new photos. It's a whole nother thing if the agent says, I know the guy you should go to. And he gives you the name and number of that guy. Is that bad? It's a possibility that agent has a financial relationship to give referrals to that photographer. Now, on the other hand, if the agent takes out of his desk drawer a list of photographers, and I mean a long list, 10, and says, go to any one of these guys, could he still be getting a kickback from any of those 10 agents? Yeah, but the likelihood of that, I think, is far less than if he says, you have to go shoot with Rex Rexon.
There's also a possibility, too, that they genuinely like those photographers. And
Absolutely.
You'll probably get a discount by saying that agent's name by going to that photographer.
Okay, good. Anything else? Any warning signs?
Well, I would say, too, the relationship has altered even more recently due to a lot of the ego casting. So a lot of times now you'll have to submit your video on an online platform. And then
Eco casting.
Yeah, and then your agent is going to decide whether or not to send that video because they'll view it first. Mm-hmm. So it's important to also to know that your agent has a good eye, because sometimes you'll have a representative see something and say no, or they'll say or they'll just pass it along even if it wasn't good. They won't tell you to reshoot it, so it's important to have a good relationship with that representative.
You just mentioned something great. Your agent has to have a good eye for talent, which a newbie actor may be watching this and thinking, well, why would they have you come into their office if they didn't have a good eye for talent? When I first came to town, I was very young, and on top of that, looked even younger than I was. And my first couple of agents, I didn't have any real credits, and I got in like that, And then I had some tape on myself from like a play and maybe a training video, just some stuff. Later, I found out they brought me in and signed me based on my photos. They didn't know what kind of actor I was.
Right.
And that still happens to this day.
Right.
So, in fact, I had a student of mine who got signed with an agent, later found out that the agent had never even watched their demo.
Right.
So it's important that you know that the agent watched your demo.
They agree with you on what you're selling.
There's that too, right? Yeah. Do they know good acting from bad acting? Don't assume they've watched your entire demo.
Right.
Because often they're like, I got to do submissions. I've got 200 clients. So yeah. And then I would say also there was an agent that you and another actor of mine was with. She would get you guys really good auditions, like with HBO, and you guys would book things. But she was trying to get you guys to go to a casting director showcase to put yourself in front of certain casting directors. That's something that agents and managers do. I'm not saying that it's wrong. It's a red flag for me.
There's a difference between that sort of a showcase and then you're graduating from somewhere,
yes,
or you're part of an institution and doing a showcase.
Yes, that's different.
Then paying to go to this.
Yes. If you're in a school situation or you're having
if you're perfect for that casting director's show,
that's different.
Yeah.
So for example, Linda, who we both worked with because she's your co-star in Fear, Love, and Agoraphobia, she was in the military. So I used to encourage her to find out what shows had military characters or, was about the military. And by any means necessary, get in front of that casting director, even if you have to pay for the privilege.
Right.
That's the exception to the rule.
Also, if you do it, you can look at it as, well, now I know if I do ever go into their room, if they honor that, if I do ever get called in for an audition.
If a casting director sees you at a showcase and then brings you
I'll at least know what their vibe is, what their feedback is like. Mm-hmm. So if they ever redirect me, I'll kind of know what to expect and kind of get a vibe of what their office may be like based on their personality. Mm-hmm. If you do it, then I would say, do it with caution. And also don't go to one place and then spend all your money there for a year and then not get an audition. Kind of be wise to, what your return is on that investment.
Right. If you regularly go to casting director showcases and you're paying for them. Right.
Also, As far as the agencies go, if you do feel it's time to move on, I would highly recommend not burning bridges, being as cordial as possible, because you never know. You may be in a situation where I left an agency before and I told them, I'm leaving you because I'm auditioning too much here. I don't want to focus.
Wow.
I don't want to be doing, I don't want all these commercial auditions. I'm going to go to a smaller commercial thing.
Right. You were invested more in theatrical auditions.
Right. And then it came to a point where, I booked a couple things commercially and I was like, hey, this is kind of great.
Money's good.
Yeah. And so then I was able to contact the older agent again and say, hey, I'm interested in coming back. I've done this and this, I booked these 3 things in the past year. Mm-hmm. And since I hadn't burned a bridge with them, they were, more than welcoming for me to come back. So, and my reasoning for leaving them wasn't because I didn't like them or because they were bad. It was just, I didn't want to audition so much and I didn't want to tell them that. So mm-hmm. I told them that by saying, I'm just going to lay low for a little bit.
Yeah.
So
the Cinema Gym is all about helping you transition from the stage to the screen. If you're interested in classes, seminars, or private coaching, you can visit the website. Hope to see you in the gym soon.
TheCinemaGym.com for virtual one-on-one coaching for camera.